good, y'all? It's Project Man. And today is the day. If you see my little tool on, it's the chapstick. But anyway, man, does it or does it not feel good to finally be back? Because here's the thing. I've been trying to balance the same four things since I've done all these four things. Consistently get in the gym, right, 4 to 5 days a week. Finish all my school stuff because I'm still in school. So finish my school stuff. Get these videos out for you young boys and girls out there. And I still got work. And I go to work in like the afternoon. So it's like afternoon to night. That's my shift. So, yeah, I've been trying to balance all these four things since I've started doing these four things collectively, which I don't know technically when I started all. I guess it would be earlier this year is when I started trying to balance all those four things. But anyway, that's just a brief thing. But here's the actual discussion. That was kind of like the cold open of just why I have not been posting for the last 3 days is because I've been trying to balance all this stuff and trying to catch up on my science because it finally now works for me to do my science work because it didn't before. And it was just a whole situation where, like, now I'm behind on all this work, specifically for that one class. But anyway, let's talk about, and this ain't going to take long. This shouldn't take more than maybe 10 minutes. We're going to talk about the potential move of what the news has been. You've probably seen it on the internet for the wrestling fans out there. You've seen it on the internet about just the move to Monday Night Raw. Well, Monday Night Raw going to 2 hours was good. I didn't make a video on that, but I guess I'll talk about that as well. But the main thing is SmackDown potentially, reportedly, not sureably, moving to 3 hours. So they're basically, it's like swapping places type of thing. Even though on Netflix, they're probably going to go back to the 3 hour format. But here's my thoughts on it. We're going to start off with the Monday Night Raw thing, going for at least the rest of this year, starting in October, going to 2 hours. Here's why that's a good thing. And I'm kind of going to say some of the same things for the 3 hour. Here's the reason why 2 hours is better for a wrestling show in general. Not just Raw, not just SmackDown, but any wrestling show. The reason why 2 hours is better, for everybody trying to argue that it's not. Now I'm trying to think, have I made a video on this? I may not have, but I'm going to reiterate it anyway. 2 hours is better for Monday Night Raw because if you look at it, they got a lot of top storylines, right? I can think of 6 off the top of my head of stories that they got going on or things that have been consistently on television. The New Day split, right, between Xavier maybe turning heel, whatever the case may be between them, their dissension. So New Day's dissension. Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman wreaking havoc and never getting a match started because it always ends in chaos. So you got that going for you. You got Jey Uso and the good promo that he did with Braun Breaker. So Jey Uso and Braun Breaker, they've established they got tension and they got heat with each other. You got Gunther and Sammy going at it for the World Heavyweight title, building to that moment of Gunther finally accepting his challenge. You got, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley / Judgment Day and Terror Twins feud, because it's kind of all intertwined together. So Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, but I mean, it's a lot of feuds there because you could say they got 8 feuds, right? Because you got Terror Twins versus Judgment Day, but then you also could say Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley or Finn Balor and Damian Priest because they're separate rivalries, but because they're in a group, they're all intertwined together. So you could either classify it as Judgment Day versus Terror Twins, or you could classify it as Judgment Day versus Terror Twins / Rhea versus Liv / Finn versus Damian Priest. Because it's rivalries within one, but it's two. They're all teamed together, so it's kind of like multiple rivalries within. It's crazy how that works. Like, there's singles rivalries within a group versus group feud. So it's crazy how that is going on right now. But anyway, there's that. And then you got CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Like, that's like 6, depending on how you count it. Like I said, if you want to count Finn versus Damian and Liv versus Rhea as their own separate feud rather than saying Terror Twins versus Judgment Day, that's like 7 feuds. And that are all over with the audience. It's not like they're just doing this and whatever. Like, these are all feuds that are over with the audience. So that being said, with all those feuds being over, mid-card feuds included, that being said, when you have a 2-hour format, imagine if they fit those 6 to 7 storylines in a 2-hour show. That means you could have 3 top storylines happening for each hour. Each hour gets three big time progressing storylines, mid card or top feud. That's 3 storylines you can take 15 minutes to get the story over, maybe have a match in between there, do an angle. That's literally 45 minutes of each area. If all those get about 15 minutes collectively between like match and actual promos, that's 45 minutes for each hour that you could be telling something of substance. And then the last 30 minutes, right, that could be your main event match or whatever the case may be. That's what you use that 30 minutes for. So people failed, or, some few backstage interviews from people we don't, really care about right now or whatever the case may be. But that's what I mean by, like, you could, all of that being said, I just named all those group rivalries and all that they got going on. All of that being said, imagine if all of that interesting stuff, like I said, that's over with the audience, imagine putting that in a 2-hour show. The show would go by swiftly. Immediately the show would go by. So you winnow all of this other extra stuff that they put on the show and replace it with all the important stuff. So that's what people got to understand, is that if you have a lot, like I said on Monday Night Raw, just so much going on that you could choose from of what people are sinking their teeth into and what they've been building up consistently, and that's over with the audience. Like, this is perfect for them for a 2-hour show, for Monday Night Raw. To have a 2-hour show, because look at, I just named all of mid-card and top feuds, all this interesting stuff going on. So, and shout out to Bianca and Io for the banger that they put on, which we knew they could if you saw their match at Backlash. The banger they got to put, they were allotted to put on Monday Night Raw, and Io getting the big win. When I was watching that match, I said, Io can afford to win here because Bianca's been built so strong, so there's no reason why she can't lose here. And she lost. And I said that like a minute before the match ended, so that was crazy when that ended up happening that way. And it gives them a little more credibility going into the tag match that they're going to have. But anyway, yeah, it's so much interesting stuff going on. So if you have a lot of things that are interesting, you would rather fit a lot of interesting things in a shorter amount of time than try to put a lot of interesting stuff in a large amount of time. Because here's the thing, unless every single hour of the show, of every 3 hours, has something we care about in it, which that's not the case, then there's no if you have a lot of interesting stuff, you would rather be given a shorter amount of time to fit it. Because if you're giving a lot of time to get your interesting stuff over, then you're going to end up having uninteresting stuff in between. Because it's like, oh, we got a lot of big things here. Well, if you give them a big amount of time to do it, then you'll find yourself going, ooh, like you're basically saying you'd rather have not so much time to get this stuff over than to have a lot of time to get this stuff over. Because if you got a lot of time to get it over, then like I said, you're going to find yourself going, ooh, one of those. We rather have not enough time to get all of these storylines in rather than a lot of time to get them in. Because if we got a lot of time to get them in, then we're going to end up with a lot of time that we didn't need. That's what I'm saying. Like, you'd rather have to fit a lot of good, interesting stuff in a shorter amount of time than to do it in a large amount of time. Because if you're given a large amount of time, then you're going to find yourself every time with time left over. So you see the theme, what I'm going with here. So as far as Monday Night Raw being 2 hours, that's why it is perfect for that. Now let's get into the nitty gritty here, the meat of the matter. I know it's going over 10 minutes. God done it. Didn't think I was going to take that long. But here we go. Last thing I'm addressing, then I'm out of here. SmackDown going potentially, not confirmed. SmackDown going to 3 hours. Why that is not a good thing. Because they don't even have enough interesting stuff. Now, them that's opposite, right? They don't have enough interesting stuff to even fill up 2 hours. So why would you want to give them more time to put stuff that people aren't invested in? And I get it. Some people are saying like, oh, well, it gives more time for stars to get over when you got more time on the show. But here's the problem. You're going to find yourself putting a lot of uninteresting stuff in the show because you haven't gotten these individuals over. So you're going to find yourself doing a lot of stuff people don't care about because you're just trying to fill 3 hours. That's the problem. You find yourself not productively using 3 hours. You find yourself trying to fill 3 hours with anything. Now, if they treated everything seriously and everything was getting over storyline wise, that's different. But that's not the case. So, like over on SmackDown last night, since we're talking about SmackDown, I mean, the bloodline, the face-off between Roman and Cody, which was better than the one leading into WrestleMania 40 that they did, the cinematic at the Georgia Tech Stadium, that cinematic face-to-face that was almost like 10 minutes, that was beautiful. That was fantastic. It was basically Cody just saying that, hey, I need your word that you going to still team with me, and Roman saying that he going to come after his title, and Cody said, but it ain't your title that you're going after. Like, they were just, and then they were doing a little bit of history lesson as to, why Georgia Tech Stadium is special to Roman, because he played football there, and that, if it, his going on the theme of it's mine, that's kind of his gimmick now, right? It's my stadium. It's my place. Atlanta's my place, you know what I mean? And Cody said, hey, man, my dad, Dusty, and my brother, Dustin, I mean, they bled, buckets in this town. So that, and because that's the case, then this is maybe your stadium, but it's my home. Like, just going back, like, just a nice back and forth between these guys, man. But anyway, and then, LA and Andrade had a match that was good. Nice, funny little thing that they did with Chelsea Green with the whole building to their dumpster match. I just thought that was a funny segment. Nia Jax, Bayley, and all them, they're going to have a number one contenders match since Bayley and Naomi both pinned Nia Jax. They're going to have a number one contenders match. So, I don't know if that's going to get ruined and become a triple threat because they've done that before. But anyway, there's that. And trying to think of anything else that I remember on this show. Bloodline doing their thing. Tama Tonga on the microphone. You probably need to give him more mic time because that dude is freaking... It's hilarious because now it's like that. That's his thing. It's like almost like a stutter is like his thing. Like, yeah. It's going to be a big mistake. I'm like, bro, I ain't going to lie. It's entertaining to see Tama Tonga on the mic. And they obviously, at the end of the show, as far as notable things, at the end of the show, they did tease Kevin Owens turning on Cody when Cody came out to help them in the main event, the Street Profits and DIY, and Kevin Owens in the main event to fend off the Bloodline. They teased Kevin Owens hitting Cody with a chair, and they didn't go through with it. So I feel like Kevin Owens is probably going to turn after. I mean, it seems like they're planting seeds for Kevin Owens to turn, but I would hope they do Randy Orton turning first because that's the big turn. So if Kevin Owens turns, then I feel like it kind of devalues the Randy turn a little bit. But anyway, back to Monday, SmackDown being 3 hours. This is notable things from last night. They don't have, like I just named there, they don't have enough interesting stuff to fill 3 hours. And then if you want to get into the statistics, the facts part, not that we haven't been stating them, but the more numbers part of it, I guess you could say. Also, they don't. That's gonna hurt their ratings the more time that they have. You're giving them more time to try to fill, so that's only gonna make their ratings go down. Because the third hour, no matter what wrestling show you have, unless you started putting like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and guys like that in the third hour will always suffer and be the reason why that they cannot get the best ratings possible. They can maybe obviously do better in the ratings and maybe get a higher rating than last week. But as far as getting their best possible rating that they can get, they're not going to achieve it through these 3 hours. And like I said, unless everybody could draw like Stone Cold Steve Austin from top to bottom on this show, that third hour will always be a death spot that's hard to keep people's attention because it's simple. The longer a show is, the more people are willing to say, all right, I'm kind of done after this, and you have to work overtime to get them invested into the main event. Like that's all you can, even then that won't get enough people back that were watching the show in the first hour. So it's just too hard trying to keep people's attention for 3 hours, no matter what your wrestling show is. And even if it's a good wrestling show, again, 3 hours is still a long time. That's a pay-per-view. Like NXT's pay-per-views don't even go 3 hours. They go like 2.5 hours or a little bit more. So if an NXT pay-per-view where there's just matches, they don't even go 3 hours, then why would a weekly show to get your storylines over need to go 3 hours? So that's all I really got to say is just the problem with it going 3 hours. Hopefully they don't go 3 hours, but if they do, I would hope that at least it would force them to step up their game. Because right now, the only heels that SmackDown has right now without The Rock being there is AJ Styles, who hasn't been there, Logan Paul, who hasn't been there, and The only other top heel you can name that's been on the show consistently that you would at least know who the person is Carmelo Hayes, which is a guy who's nowhere near close to over. I mean, they got Waller in theory, but again, more people they don't care about right now. So, but Austin Theory, that's a whole nother discussion of just how he should probably be one of their top heels by now with his accomplishments of winning the Elimination Chamber, 2-time U.S. champ, Money in the Bank winner. He should be one of their top heels going after a world title, but he hasn't figured out the character that connects with the audience as a heel nor a babyface. But anyway, again, that'd be a whole nother discussion. But hopefully, like I said, they can step up their game if they do go 3 hours. And the reason why they don't need to go 3 hours is, like I said, because it affects their ratings as far as getting the best ratings. It's going to make that difficult every time when you go longer. 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. If you're going longer, that will hurt your ratings because it's just easy. Especially with this society now. The longer you go, the harder it is to keep people's attention. And with this microwave society, heck no, you ain't getting everybody to watch Monday Night Raw for 3 hours, especially when they got streaming services where they could just watch the highlights and skip through the bits that weren't important. Like back in the day, you had to watch it, because there wasn't always DVRing it. Like you had to watch it, and if you missed it, you missed it. But now with social media, you can just watch everything on the internet if anything of note happened. So that's why I say that. Hopefully they don't go to 3 hours, man. It will affect their ratings, and SmackDown has not been good. They do not have enough interesting stuff going on to go 3 hours, and it's been hard enough for them to go 2 hours. Like I said, I think one of the other problems is they don't have any top heels that are there consistently that can feud with people that we haven't seen them feud against. That's the whole problem with them not building up new heels. Now we've kind of seen Logan Paul and AJ. They've kind of faced all the top baby faces there. So that's the issue with that. That's a whole nother video about how they just need to build more top heels to make up for all these baby faces that they got in the WWE. But anyway, at the end of the day, like I say, it's going to be is the Prodigy keeping it coming with the content. And I'm going to let you guys, young boys and girls, out of here. But until then, you have heard the message from the only man that matters in the community. This is DJ White. So without further ado, let's get it. Till I see you young boys and girls in the next one. Peace.